We are at a crisis point today. For us, the concern is what's going to happen with the temperatures. What's going to happen with our fish? Are they coming back? We don't know. We look at our traditions. I can look at pictures that are right here in my office. These pictures of my great-grandfather in the river. It's a tradition that was within my family. That's within the families of a lot of community members that used to travel from Cowichan Bay to Lake Cowichan. All on the river, all on boats. It's a struggle for us because of the low flows in the river. We're having to close the river down for our community members to fish. I think the Cowichan Watershed Board is a good example of how different governments can work together. When you look at what's sitting around the table, the regional district, Cowichan tribes, the province, the feds, fisheries, industry, we're all sitting around the table hoping to deal with all these issues. We don't have the money to do it. We need the money.
Well, particularly in an area like southern Vancouver Island when we're experiencing water shortages on a regular basis, the future depends on good decisions around development and how we manage our watersheds, and local governments play an important role, the regional district particularly here in the Cowichan Valley. And so it's important that we do good planning. It's important that we have good information to inform the board and planning decisions that are made for the region. And it's important for us that we know what's happening in our watershed so that we can inform our own decisions and ultimately inform the provincial and the federal governments as well as policies and decisions are being made in the future.
There's not a lot of wood in there right now, but it's hot, even over here.
We depend on our watersheds in our communities. They are literally the lifeblood of our communities. We cannot thrive unless we have healthy, thriving watersheds. And so we need to recognize that the well-being of our watersheds is best placed in the hands of our communities. And we need the support of the upper levels of governments. This is not a, now it's your problem and you have all the responsibility and all the costs. And we need to identify the outcomes we want to achieve, and then we need to work collaboratively to achieve those outcomes in our community. It has to be, in a lot of ways, like the Watershed Board, a collaborative, cooperative, cross-jurisdictional effort. But ultimately, we're going to make the best decisions about our watersheds from inside those watersheds.
We have a really amazing governance structure here, like the Cowichan Watershed Board. That is co-chaired by Cowichan tribes and the CVRD. And so you have a multitude of voices at work. But the CVRD has done some amazing climatic research for our area. And we're already starting to see the effects of climate change here. Like this year, probably wasn't the best of summers, but it was a very dry summer. And we had to start pumping the lake just to keep the river running. And if you look at future projections, this problem is only going to get worse. This is going to be the new norm. So if we want to respect this river, respect what it actually means not only to people, but to the wildlife, then we have to take those steps to actually build a new weir, hold more lake supply back so we can have those important adequate flow rates through the driest months, because that's the new normal for us. So not only do we each have to take steps to try and mitigate climate change, but our region is already facing a situation where we have to start adapting to it.
To go through February, March, April without a heavy rainfall event is unheard of, and we did that this year. And so the lake is now empty. 4 or 5 days ago, we started pumping the lake from lake to river, pumping the water to the river, and that's because the gravity would not deliver this water to the river anymore. Today, we would have less than 4.5 CMS if the pumps were not installed and operating on the lake. Catalyst Paper is an environmentally conscious company. We are focused. We wish to have good environmental relationships with our community. And the Cowichan River is a place where we have a wonderful relationship with so many volunteer and paid organizations that are stewarding the river. So we work very closely with Cowichan Watershed Board, with Cowichan Valley Regional District, Cowichan Tribes. It's a very collaborative approach to try to manage this joint resource called the water in our watershed.
In all that effort, we caught one fish. One fin, and look behind it. There's that little baby fish.
Today is about kind of building a new legacy that respects all of the resources and allows us to rebuild everything that we can to bring back bounty into our system, to bring back some balance, to bring back a sharing of all of those resources. That's why we're all here. It can be done, and we're doing it, and we have examples of how we can do that. We just have to keep the momentum going.
That's pretty good.
Most important and the best place to make investments in watershed governance are at the local community level. When there's collaborations that are led in partnership with First Nations and local communities, there isn't a better value out there for the province in terms of the investment of their dollars and time, is to invest in these governance structures that are really a hallmark of how we do things better and how we do things right in 2020 and beyond. And that is through collaboration, coming together, and this is the right time for the investment to come from the province, and there is no better way for them to invest that money.
They're swimming. Whoa!
And I think that we owe a debt of gratitude and responsibility to the land and to the rivers here. And I think Cowichan Tribes understands that. It's deeply rooted in everything that Cowichan people are. And I think as we learn from that, we also learn to appreciate that if anybody was to be given the final say on what is done in our watersheds and our rivers, it should be our Cowichan Tribes and our First Nations.
The proposed water security fund, the recognition that we need that fund to be able to access watershed protection, watershed governance, this is the foundation for that happening, and I support it 100%. And ultimately, we can all agree that fresh, safe, abundant water is such a necessary component for the well-being of our communities. That's the starting point.
We've got some very daunting challenges ahead of us as a region, but we've had a very methodical way of going about it. And it's about partnerships, and it's about working together, and we're starting to see those results. And I think the other levels of government are seeing those relationships, and they want to be part of that. They want to fund something good, something that's going to yield good results, not only for our region, but for the province and the country as a whole. So it does feel good, and there's been a lot of work done, and we're starting to reap the rewards of that work for the better part of the last decade of hard work that people have put into this initiative.
My heart is full. My heart is so full. Mother Nature needs us to speak up, and that's what we're doing. You know, I get emotional because when you see what's happened to our environment, we know that if we don't work together, we're not gonna have this bounty and beauty around us. I have grandchildren. I want them to be able to come to the Cowichan River. I want them to be able to harvest in the bay. I want them to know that they're connected to place. And so this work with the Cowichan Watershed Board, not only building the relationships between local government, provincial and federal, and just local champions and local wisdom, traditional knowledge, bringing all of those pieces together, it's very fulfilling. I can't say more than that, and I look forward to, we're a decade now into this good work going on. We're going to continue to build those relationships and take the time to maintain the relationships. You can't take for granted the relationship piece. You've got to keep continuing to recognize and understand that we're human beings working together for a bigger effort, and that's for our watershed.